is Foursquare going to make money? For insights on that, let's head out to the newsroom and our editor-at-large, Cory Johnson, with more. Cory?
Yeah, Emily, there's money in local, lots of money, but traditionally, the advertising money in local has gone to the likes of the Yellow Pages or local newspapers, radio, and the like. But as you discussed, Facebook and MasterCard are taking a shot at this localized marketing world, a world where the loudest competitor, if not the largest, is Foursquare. Now, Foursquare makes something of a game of localized marketing. Users check into locations using their GPS-powered cell phones, letting their friends know where they are. The more often they check in, the higher they rank on Foursquare. It's not much of a game, but Foursquare says it's led to 10 million signups, 750 million check-ins. It's about 3 million a day. But when trying to do a business analysis of Foursquare, well, it's tough because until recently they didn't have a business, not much to speak of. Here's a quote from Tristan Walker, the head of business development, from a year ago, just last week. We're focused right now on making the experience better. How do we charge for that? We don't know. Since then, those comments, Foursquare has been signing up partners in a business has developed. Now, among those partners they've signed up, Living Social, Gilt City, YP.com. So to think of this business as a mobile coupon technology is an interesting way to look at it. But perhaps it's something a little bit more. You might want to look at this business as more than just a mobile coupon technology. In fact, when you look at this, you look at the way the users use this, assaulted by digital offers as they traipse through a city, that would lead to the suggestion that it is, in fact, a digital coupon business. But maybe it's something more. What if it's a mobile loyalty program? Think of it like a mileage program or something. But rather than having the business own the loyalty, Foursquare owns the loyalty. It flips the idea right on the head, where Foursquare controls and is a conduit for the loyalty to the most interesting merchants. Now, that has led big investors like Andreessen Horowitz and investors in New York, as well as here in Silicon Valley, to put big money, over $70 million, behind this idea. Whether they're in the right place at the right time remains to be seen. Emily?
All right, thanks for that. Bloomberg West editor-at-large, Cory Johnson. Now, as more and more users continue to check in using Foursquare, so do investors. Last month, the company raised another $50 million in funding. Joining us live now from New York for an exclusive interview is Foursquare co-founder and CEO Dennis Crowley. And Dennis, we've spoken a couple of times over the last year, so it's great to be checking in with you again as you're striking all of these big partnerships with Groupon, AT&T, American Express. Give us an update on where those stand right now, how much interest and usage you're seeing.
Yeah, just overall, the company and the product is growing very, very quickly. We're up over 10 million users now. We're seeing about 30 to 35,000 new users sign up every day, and we're over about 500,000 merchants that are now using the Foursquare platform. So the growth has really been amazing, growth in the product and the company. With what we've done with a lot of the merchant partners that we've signed up, to your Groupon and your Living Social. I mean, it's all about trying to get as many deals as possible to a lot of the users that are now using Foursquare. And so we're seeing that they're reacting very positively to the changes that we've been making to the product.
So are any of these partnerships generating revenue so far? Tell us how that part is going.
Sure. The partnerships that we've been doing with Dealy Deal providers, there's a revenue share agreement that's part of that. So that's been generating revenue for us already.
And can you give us an idea of how much? I mean, I know you're not talking directly about the split, but how optimistic are you about this driving a lot of money to Foursquare?
Yeah, we haven't been disclosing any details there, and we typically don't do that for a lot of our partnerships. But you can see the interest already from a lot of our merchants. I mean, one of the most interesting things about what Foursquare can really do is we have a very advanced way of targeting people. So let's say that you're the type of person that goes to lots of different pizza places or go to different coffee shops. Those are the types of deals that we can target to you within the Foursquare product. We know about the types of the habits that you have. Are you a person that checks in the morning? Are you a person that checks in the evening? And we can start targeting the deals based upon your different habits. And it's really powerful for us, and we're finding that the users are responding very well to it as well.
How do you balance your relationship with Groupon, for example? Groupon now, in a way, is a competitor, but they're also a partner. How do you navigate that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, we look at all these folks as people that can really make our product better. And so I think one of the amazing things that Living Social and Groupon and some of these others are doing is they're going out and they're teaching an army of local merchants that there's tools out there on the internet that are better than what the yellow pages have been in the past. And that's great for us because it allows us to take some of the stuff that they're learning from merchants and put it in our product. And it's also going to make it easier for us when we go out and we start talking to the merchants directly.
So you recently raised $50 million. You say you're using this money to build out the merchant platform. Tell me, what is it going to look like? What can these merchants expect from Foursquare?
Yeah, so we try not to tell too many of our product secrets ahead of time, but you can look at all the interesting stuff that we're doing already with some of the targeting, with all of the check-in data that we're getting. Right now, we've built a dashboard for local merchants that allows any merchant, whether you're a coffee shop owner or a cafe owner or even like a large national chain, you can drill down and see who are the people that are checking into my business most often. What are the demographics on them? Like what are the different times of day that they're coming? And then we're also allowing those merchants to target different specials based on those users. Do we want to hit the users that come here 5 times a week? Do we want to hit the users that bring in 5 of their friends? And so we're starting to develop more advanced tools for their merchants, and that's starting to be really interesting for us.
So what do you do with all of that data you collect? Who gets to see it? How is it used?
Really, what we're using it, we're sharing a lot of it with the merchants because we want the merchants to see who their best customers are. And we want them to help. We want to help them reach out to their best customers, maybe people that were previous best customers and their potential best customers. A lot of the stuff that we're focused on is sharing that data back with the users. Like we generally refer to it as recycling data. So if there's when there's a lot of usage in New York and San Francisco, we can recycle that data for people that are visiting for the first time or people that don't know neighborhoods that well. We can let them know about, hey, these are the best deals within the system. These are the most popular venues. These are the most popular dishes at some of the best places in the city.
So observers have suggested that Foursquare is giving too much value away for free to these merchants. Do you think that this is something that merchants should pay for?
I do think we're providing a lot of value to merchants for free. At the same time, I don't think that our products are just right yet. And so we've always said that when the products are just right, then we can start considering monetizing them. I think it's been really interesting, some of the stuff that we've done with early monetization experiments in terms of getting a lot of these daily deal providers up and running in the Foursquare ecosystem. And the next step is going to be, seeing the next round of the tools that we've been building internally, the tools that we built ourselves, and seeing how merchants respond to those. So we're really optimistic when we look at, not only the data that we have, but the tools that we've been able to create and how positively the merchants have been responding to them.
So there are reports today that Foursquare is indeed planning to charge merchants. Can you comment on that?
Well, we said that we'd always do that in the future, but we've always said that we would wait until the products are just right. There's no immediate plans to do that, but it's something that's on our roadmap, and it's something that we're looking towards. We just have a little bit more product innovation to get before I think we really feel comfortable flipping that switch.
So are you worried about any kind of resistance from these merchants, or have you been in conversations with them about what they might be willing to pay for?
Yeah, sure. So we talk to merchants all the time. We have regular focus groups with them. We have a group of merchants that we reach out to, and we bang a lot of different product ideas off of. They tell us the good and the bad, what they enjoy about the product, and what they wish was actually built into it. We've had conversations about monetizing, and the feedback has been positive. We do know there's a couple other things that we need to do to tweak the merchant platform in just the right ways. And once we get to that point, I think we'll feel a little bit more comfortable disclosing that part of the roadmap.
So when you look at your revenue model going forward, what do you see as the main sources of revenue?
I really think it's going to be the tools that we offer these local merchants. Even the stuff that we're offering now, the things that we're not charging for, we can show those to local merchants. And, they've never seen a dashboard that shows real-time customer analytics. And even in the form that things are in right now, as powerful as they are, we haven't taken them where we want them yet. The merchants are getting a lot of value out of them, and it makes us very hopeful for the next generation of features that we'll be building.
And Dennis, I'd like to know a little bit more about these 10 million users. Can you tell us how often they're checking in, how many of them check in daily or even weekly?
Yeah, we usually don't disclose some of the active numbers, but we are seeing about 3 million check-ins a day, and it's the numbers have been great for us. It generates a lot of data that we can use on our own, and we can also contribute back to the Foursquare ecosystem.
So are you seeing repeat check-inners who could be useful for advertisers, for example?
Yeah, I think I think you could think of it as advertisers, but really a lot of the products that we're building are designed, to help users connect with merchants and to help merchants connect with users. So rather than thinking about banner ads, like we think more about what kind of tools can we build for local merchants that will allow them to fill up an empty restaurant table at 7 at night, or entice people to choose one coffee shop over another coffee shop.
Now, I know you've said half of the users are international, half are domestic. As you've been monitoring the usage, is there anything else that's really surprised you, trends that you've seen that you didn't expect?
Yeah, we see them all the time. I think some of the most interesting stories are just a lot of the international growth. Like we saw, of course, like you expect to see heavy pickup in Europe, and then you start to see it in Japan. But when you see it in we see it in parts of Southeast Asia. We're starting to see explosive growth in Brazil. It's like, where does that come from? And it just seems to be like the life cycle of a lot of these social services. Like you hit a tipping point, and it just starts taking over, all these different parts of the world.
Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about your competitors, Facebook Places, for example. When we were preparing this segment, we noticed that the icon for Facebook Places looks a lot like a square with a 4 in it. What's your take on that?
I remember reading a blog post about that a while ago. I'm not really sure. I'm sure it's just coincidence.
Okay, so Facebook obviously has 250 million unique mobile users. What is your proposition to a merchant? Use Foursquare rather than Facebook, given the difference in the number of users?
Yeah, well, I think the big difference is that our company, the only reason the company exists is to solve these problems that exist around location. Like we're here to help merchants connect with their best customers and help users discover amazing experiences. I think Facebook is an amazing product, but that's not the thing that I think of for checking in. I think of it as a place to share photos and maybe share links with people. The same way I think of Twitter as a place to maybe get headlines or news from celebrities or connect with friends. Like Foursquare's got this different feel to it, and it seems to be all about location.
What do you think of Google+? You used to work at Google. You sold your last company to Google. What do you think of Google+ and its potential to play a role in this whole location-based services business?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting product. I've been playing around with it. Like it hasn't become one of the main products I use on an everyday basis yet, but I continue to keep an eye on it, and I think they're doing some really interesting stuff there.
Now, as I said, you did sell your last company to Dodgeball. It's no secret, we've talked about this before, that you left Google because you felt like they weren't giving you enough resources. How is that experience informing your vision for Foursquare down the line and a potential exit strategy?
Oh, I mean, we don't think too much about the experience that we had at Google. Like we're friends with a lot of the folks there, and there's a lot of Google people that work at Foursquare, and they've been great. I think there's a couple lessons to be learned from it, and the big one is just like I think we really have some really interesting ideas with Foursquare, and we never got to see them all the way through. Whether we're at grad school or whether we're working on them with Dodgeball, and this is a nice chance to be able to revisit some of those ideas, especially in an environment where everyone has smartphones, everyone understands how to use Twitter and Facebook, all the phones have GPS. Like we can just do things now that we couldn't do 5 years ago, and honestly, that's the big difference.
So would you consider selling, or is that something that you just don't want to do again?
I really don't think of it that way. A lot of folks ask me, like, what is the exit plan for Foursquare? And, I honestly don't know. I mean, we're on this path, and I'm hoping that we're going to be a profitable company relatively soon. That will probably open up a number of doors for us, but I don't have, a specific endpoint fixed. Like, really what we want to do is make the product as amazing as we can, get as many users as possible, take the ideas that we have in our heads and get them, in the hands of as many people as possible. Like, that's the thing that really excites us.
And on that note, as we talked about earlier, you recently took in $50 million in funding. All of that is going directly to Foursquare. No secondary market sales involved. We've seen other companies like Groupon and Zynga with insiders selling a lot of shares. Why did you decide to do it this way?
That just didn't seem like the right time for the company. There's still so much more we need to do, and honestly, we can put that money to really good use, building out the team, building out the office that we just launched in San Francisco. Thinking about international expansion. The company is growing so quickly. The user base is growing so quickly. There's going to be a lot of things we're going to need that money for, and so putting it right back into the product is what seemed most appropriate.
So, last question, Dennis: how big do you think Foursquare is going to be?
I don't know. It's a tricky question. If you asked me 2 years ago, I would have said it would have taken us a long time to get to 1 million users, and I never anticipated we'd get to 10 million so quickly. Now that we have a good hold on what we're doing, and you can start to see the power of really like how interesting the products are to people, and not just people, but also to merchants. I don't know. I mean, we're at 500,000 merchants right now. I bet you we can get up to 5 million merchants. We're at 10 million users. Maybe it goes up to 50 million users, 100 million users. So it's really tough to pin, especially as the product is changing so rapidly.
Well, it's definitely been fun to watch you guys grow from afar. Dennis Crowley, co-founder and CEO of Foursquare, thanks so much for joining us on Bloomberg West from Bloomberg East.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, now let's go back out to the newsroom where Cory Johnson is standing by with some perspective on what we just heard. Cory, what were your thoughts there on Dennis's comments about the revenue model and the future of their business model?
Yeah, well, among the things that jumped out was not just a revenue model, but a mention of profit, that he hopes to get to profitability fairly soon. You like to hear that. I mean, you would think it would be a given for companies who want to be profitable, but you like to hear a private company CEO talking about a notion to get to a business with its profitability. I was really struck by this when he talked about the real value for this company of providing real-time customer analytics. It sounds a lot like this might be looked at as an open table-like business where local merchants start to understand who their customers are. That starts to suddenly sound like something actually valuable to me, because I'm a private person. Checking in, not so much.
I agree. It's interesting. Foursquare is not only competing with, the Groupons and the Facebook Places, but also to a certain extent the Yelps and the Open Tables as well. There's a lot of kind of overlapping territory there. Cory Johnson, our editor at large, thanks so much.